Hey, 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 happy Monday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, which is brought to you by thegaminggang.com, which I happen to be the grand poobah. Yes, I am the founder and editor-in-chief of the Gaming Gang. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Monday, May 10th, 2021. This is live stream 662. Tonight, I am going to be sharing a first look at a page through of Call of Cthulhu Reign of Terror from Chaosium Inc. But of course, I am also going to share a bit of the latest tabletop gaming news. So if this is your first time joining me, let me point out about half the show is the latest in gaming news. And then we'll move on to a first look at role-playing game, board game, miniatures, rules, you name it. If it's going on the tabletop, we're probably talking about it. So if you are watching after the fact, you're not watching live, keep in mind there will be a timestamp. So if you are just tuning in because you want to see Reign of Terror, you'll be able to jump ahead for that. But there's a lot of cool tabletop gaming news tonight as well. Do want to mention, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live, Monday through Thursday nights, right here on YouTube. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my recent first look at Dungeons & Dragons, Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, for 5e. Oh, yes. And this is from Wizards of the Coast. So took a peek at this, talked about what we saw inside. Of course, we didn't look at each and every page, but you'll get a pretty good idea of what you're looking at if you pick up this book. And I also reveal how you can win my copy of the alternate art edition of Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. So pretty sweet. So check those videos out. They are available right now. Oh, I shouldn't say videos. It is video. Check that video out. The reason why I said videos is because I have another video that is now ready to go. It's ready to go live. But I'll talk about that towards the end of the show. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And because this is a live stream, that also means that chat is available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But I do my best to pay attention to chat. So if you want to say howdy, by all means, chime in. I'll do my best to respond. If you got a question or a comment, fire away. Like I said, I will do my best to respond. Sarah D is first out the gate tonight saying hello in chat. Very good to see you, Sarah. Hopefully you had a good weekend. And if you happen to be a mom, had a great Mother's Day. Kevin Thorpe is with us as well. So we'll get chat off and running in just a bit. Looks like some folks are showing up a little later than usual. We usually have, that's why for a second, I have to laugh. I was like, is chat not working tonight? Because every once in a while, I will admit it's been quite some time, but every once in a while, I would start doing the stream. There'd be nothing going on in chat. And people were in chat, but it was another chat that for some reason I didn't have access to. I would have to close up my chat window, reopen the chat window, and it was very, very weird. So for a second, I thought, uh-oh, is that happening tonight? But no, Sarah said hello, so good deal. Good deal. Okay, let's jump on into the news because I've got a good mix tonight, and we're going to be jumping into Reign of Terror in just a bit. It is Call of Cthulhu week, by the way, here on the Dispatch, because tonight, tomorrow, and Thursday, we are looking at Call of Cthulhu Adventures. Do want to mention, and I will point this out again later in the show, there will not be an episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch on Wednesday. It is my brother's birthday, so we are celebrating that. We originally thought maybe we would end up having to do it on the weekend because maybe he'd be flying because, of course, he works for Southwest. And it turns out, no, he won't be flying, so we're going to do it on Wednesday. So no show this coming Wednesday. Once again, I'll mention that later on as well before I wrap up. All right, Renegade Game Studio has revealed a new mystery game series. Here's a skinny on Crimes and Capers. Crimes and Capers is a modern reimagining of the classic murder mystery party game by designers Juliana Moreno Patel and Ariel Rubin. Players each take on distinctive roles and will need to share information from their personal journals, solve escape room-style puzzles, figure out how to unlock more information, and use everything they've uncovered to ultimately solve the overarching mystery. First up, there is High School Hijinks. Welcome to 1998. Romy's been framed. As the senior leaders of Blair High School, you've gathered the past notes from today to see if you can figure out who framed Romy. If you don't figure it out, she'll be expelled. Crimes and Capers High School Hijinks is a cooperative game where you and a group of friends will take on the roles of 90s high school students and work together to solve the mystery. No special skills or prior knowledge are required. Read notes and solve puzzles to unlock Romy's locker, then figure out who framed her. There's also Lady Leona's Last Wishes. Who gets a fortune? It's 1919 at the Langford estate. Lady Leona has died, and absolutely no one is sad about it. She was forever threatening to write people out of her will. Now that she's finally gone, her closest family and favorite servants have gathered for the reading of her will. But Leona always loved two things: puzzles and making life difficult. Crimes and Capers Lady Leona's Last Wishes is a cooperative game where you and a group of friends will take on the roles of polished high society folks and hardworking servants who need to collaborate to solve the mystery and find Leona's treasure. No special skills or prior knowledge is required. Read the notes, figure out puzzles, and unlock the answers to find out where Leona hid her fortune. These two Crimes and Capers releases are for 4 to 6 players, ages 12 and up. They play in around 60 minutes. They're going to carry MSRPs of $32 each when they arrive this summer. So some more details that have kind of trickled out from Renegade Game Studios is that these can be utilized as kind of like role-playing games if the players want to dress up in costumes and things like that. And then in the next sentence, it says, oh, you don't have to. It's like, okay, all right. Like, make up your minds. Do you want people to dress up in costumes or not? But if you like mystery games, if you're a fan of the Exit series of games, this might be something to take a peek at. I'm thrown off a little bit. $32 and they play out in about an hour. I would hope there's a bit more gameplay to it than that. Or if it is 60 minutes, that there is some replayability. I don't know. All right, so Kevin R. Smith has arrived. Doug Roberts is in chat, as well as the Motor City Madman. And Zorak Zoran 1, Double Z1, is in chat with us tonight as well. So We got chat up and running. We got a few more people hanging out. Good to see everybody. It is a Monday. It's Call of Cthulhu week here on the Dispatch. All right. Arriving in June is Free Market NYC. And here's the latest from Unique Board Games. By the mid-1930s, the United States was still struggling to squeeze its way out of the Great Depression. These difficult times were characterized by hunger, crime, high unemployment, major wealth inequality, limited social mobility, and political strife that tested the fortitude of the American economy. The government intervened, establishing new economic policies, which eventually led to reviving free market principles. By the early 1940s, it had become apparent that the U.S. had pulled itself up by its bootstraps, restoring a stable and growing economy defined by the opportunity that a free market provides. Plus the war. It's like, I think the war had something to do with it. This game aims to mimic the spirit of the free market, to profit by investing, selling, trading, taking risks, paying attention to market trends, anticipating opponents' strategy, cooperating with others, but also profiting from them as well, all in the spirit of making the most money. Free Market NYC is a competitive and strategic board game based on the principles of a free market economy, presented from a humorous and ironic perspective of life. In this game, you'll find yourself managing a group of people who work together in different assignments, aiming to grow their fortune according to your vision. Throughout the game, you'll purchase merchandise at the auction, deliver goods to shops and factories, establish partnerships in shops and factories, or possibly take over other players' business and capital. You'll also attend events, influence politics, win awards, and garner all kinds of influence to help your businesses, partnerships, and assets flourish as you move forward in the game. The trick is simple. Buy when the market is low and sell when it's high to make the most profit before your opponents do. The most successful businessman wins the game. Should it also be businesswoman? Most successful business person? Free Market NYC is for 2 to 5 players ages 12 and up. Plays in around 90 minutes to 180 minutes. And will carry an MSRP of $29.90. I believe this is available through Amazon right now. I think it's coming to stores in June-ish. But I believe you can order right now on Amazon, and it carries an MSRP, as I mentioned, of $29.90. It's like there's quite a lot of content in this for a $30 game. Kind of curious about this. As long as it's not just real dry. Because, I mean, it is an economic game. They sometimes tend to be kind of dry. Mr. Eddie T is popped into chat. Good to see you, Mr. Eddie. Thanks for joining us. And Keldon is in chat with us tonight, too. All right, moving right along. Coming in July is For the King and Me from Iello. Here's what I know. The young monarch has no knack for governing. Take advantage of this by taking on all the most prestigious government duties. Share cards, choose the most high-profile jobs, and then experience an auction phase as belligerent as it is clever. In For the King and Me, you wish to become the most valuable minister by collecting the right cards while lowering the value of your opponent's objectives. The game plays the same as the designer's earlier game, Biblios, while allowing for play with up to 5 people at once. The game lasts multiple rounds with players first collecting cards, then bidding for cards. During the collection phase, as the active player, you draw cards one at a time, keeping one for yourself, placing one in an auction pile, and placing the others face up for the other players to draft. Once you take a card, you can't take another, so sometimes it's a tough call to decide when you want to take something. Once you've had multiple collection phases, the cards in the auction pile will be auctioned one by one. Thus, they're in an auction pile to be auctioned. Some cards are worth points depending on their color. Some are worth gold. Some allow you to manipulate the value of the various colors. Once all the cards have been auctioned, players reveal their hands and tally their points to see who wins. For the King and Me is for 2 to 5 players, ages 10 and up, plays around 30 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $24.99 when it hits stores in late July. For the King and Me, I gotta say, I have always heard really good things about Biblios, which isn't it Steve Finn who's the designer? I think it's Steve Finn. And this is essentially the same game. It's rethemed, and I think they're bumping up the player count by 1. Because I've never played Biblios. I kind of know what it's about, but I think it was only 4 players. Now this goes up to 5 players. So very nice, very cool. This is coming from Iello. So here's one of the odd things. Maybe it's not odd, but it kind of strikes me as being a little unusual. And that is that Steve Finn has his own game company, Dr. Finn's Games. But Biblios and this, which is based on Biblios, are both through Iello. Wouldn't you think he'd release it through his own game company? You would think, right? Kind of weird. Boris has joined us in chat. Hello, welcome aboard. I think this might be Boris's first visit with us here at the Dispatch. So kick back, make yourself comfortable. Let's move on to some role-playing game news, because now available in print and PDF is Before the Stroke of Midnight from Midnight Tower. Here's the deets. Before the Stroke of Midnight is a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition adventure by Midnight Tower. It's designed for a group of 3 to 5 9th level characters, but can be scaled up or down by adjusting the encounters. This adventure is a murder mystery inspired by Edgar Allan Poe and can be used in any campaign or as a side quest adventure. Some towns and events used in this adventure mean that it works particularly well if it's played after the Rise of the Ice Dragons trilogy adventures, which must be from Midnight Tower, but can easily be adapted to suit other settings. The Duchess Rose Blackraven of Shieldsburg Castle is dead. However, her last will is missing. Hey, we've got a theme tonight, missing wills. Didn't even realize that when I was putting the news together. This is the second game release that's got something to do with missing will. Anyway, her last will is missing, and it's unclear who will inherit the castle from her. You must find the will before midnight and identify the true heir to Shieldsburg Castle. Search the old castle for clues, interview the secretive residents, and investigate the mysterious surrounding areas. But be careful. More blood will be spilled, and a new murder will occur before midnight. Spoilers! Eerie ghosts, mysterious intrigues, and dark secrets await you at the castle. Look for clues. Sharpen your wits. Search the castle. Can you solve the murder before it's too late? Before the Stroke of Midnight can be had from Drive-Thru RPG as an 84-page premium softcover, which includes the PDF, for $24.95, or if you'd like to score the PDF alone, that is $7.50. So looks pretty impressive. Pretty good artwork. Looks like some pretty nice layout for this as well. This is an Electrum seller over at Drive-Thru. The PDF has been out for a bit, but this is the first time it's available in print as well. Print on demand from Drive-Thru, of course, which I have received some print on demand releases from Drive-Thru RPG. They're actually pretty nicely done. I was a little surprised. Personally, I thought they were better than some of the Lulu stuff I've seen in the past. Although I admit the hardcovers from Lulu are pretty good as well. All right, final news piece. There is a new solitaire horror role-playing game, which has arrived from Parts Per Million. Here's the skinny on Rogue Handler. Solo role-playing in a world of conspiracy and cosmic horror. This supplement makes solo role-playing most D100 modern setting Cthulhu Mythos games. Reminds me of a certain Cthulhu game. Let's see. I wish I could recall the name of it. Anyway, this makes D100 Mythos games solitaire a real possibility. These rules add a simple yes-no oracle for answering questions, along with a set of guidelines for evolving mysteries to be solved as you play. This is as you play, which means that you will not know what's going on until your agent learns the truth for themselves. In addition to the oracle and mission generators, these rules add countdown clocks to add tension to your scenes and uses any source books, rule books, or fiction you want to use as a source for clues, flavor content, and to answer questions that don't fit into a yes-no format or not covered by the tables provided. You roll for a random page, D100, then paragraph, D6, and then sentence, D6. Do that a couple of times and then pick out the words that seem to fit your situation and play style. Could be interesting. The 46-page book is available in softcover, which includes the PDF, for $13.99, or just snag the PDF alone for $4.95 over at Drive-Thru RPG. Cool deal. Always on the lookout for some, modern mythos action. And very possible you could plug this into Call of Cthulhu or Delta Green. So, yeah, I would think horror role-playing games are pretty tough to pull off just playing solo. All right, that is it for tonight's news. I was talking about Drive-Thru RPG in the previous two news pieces. Keep in mind, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to go visit, say, Drive-Thru RPG maybe, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a little portion of that sale. And all those little portions add up and really do help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, should mention before we jump on further along that big thanks to some of the folks out there who have bought me a cup of joe, have helped support the Gaming Gang and, of course, the Gaming Gang Dispatch by using the paypal.me/thegaminggang website. The Madman has stopped in. John Vogel has as well. JP Falconer or Honor has also. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. If you like the website, if you like the channel, if you like this show, buy me a cup of joe or a bottle of Pepsi Max. Swing on over to the PayPal me/the Gaming Gang. Pretty easy peasy. All right. So Flaming Huron has joined us in chat. Both of our chat moderators are hanging out tonight. Once again, I'm going to mention no show on Wednesday. I pointed that out earlier in the show. It was before quite a few people had arrived into chat. It is my brother's birthday. We thought he was probably going to end up being, flying because he works for Southwest. But turns out that he's not. So we are not going to celebrate his birthday over the weekend. We're going to celebrate it on his birthday, which is Wednesday. So just pointing that out. It is also Call of Cthulhu week. That's right. So tonight, tomorrow night, and Thursday night, we are looking at Call of Cthulhu Adventures from Chaosium Inc. And so Flaming Huron says they had to make sure they were here for Cthulhu week. Yes. Very nice. Very nice. So tomorrow we're not going to do a lot of news. I believe I'm going to share the July releases for Pathfinder and Starfinder, which usually takes a little bit of time, and maybe a couple of other news pieces. But the reason is because we're going to be looking at Horror on the Orient Express, and I think it clocks in around 1,100 pages. We're not going to look at every single page. Come on, let's be realistic, right? All right, we're going to spend a minute on each page. Strap in. So we're going to do a little less news tomorrow, and that'll free up a little more time for us to dive on into Horror on the Orient Express. Cozy Afternoon has swung on in and joined us. I believe this is the first time they have visited, pointing out they're new to RPGs and like the channel. Thank you very much. Welcome aboard. So Kevin Thorpe says, heck yes, Cthulhu news is always good. All right. So without further ado, let's swing on over, because we're going to be taking a look at Call of Cthulhu, Reign of Terror from Chaosium Inc. It's written by Mark Morrison with Penelope Love, James Coquelot, taking a stab there, and Darren Watson, with artwork provided by Victor Leza. Delphais Desvoris. Sorry. Desvoris? I don't know. We'll take a look at the page with the credits. Denise Coral and Steph McKelly with Oliver Sanfilippo. This 128-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $29.99. You can get the PDF for $17.99. So I always want to mention that if you are getting a PDF and you think you're going to want to get the hardcover afterwards, especially, if the PDF's out first, which happens quite often. Some publishers do not do it that way. Some publishers, the physical book shows up, and then about 3 months later or more, they release a PDF. But Chaosium is not like that. They tend to release the PDF and then the print. So if you really want the print, then if you purchase the PDF from Chaosium, they take that off of the price of the physical book. But if you are not planning on getting the physical book, you only want the PDF, then by all means, please visit DriveThruRPG and use the Gaming Gang links. It's kind of funny because Chaosium, they've mentioned to me before, hey, you do realize that, we sell the PDFs too. And I'm like, yeah, but you do realize that, people using DriveThruRPG helps keep me around. All right, we're popping over to the other camera because here we've got Reign of Terror for Call of Cthulhu, Shadows of the Mythos amidst the horrors of the French Revolution. Nice. This is, I believe the art is from this cover here is Victor Leza. I think that's how it's pronounced. See, now this cover I like. But some of the artwork he does, his faces are kind of weird. So I'm not, I'm not complaining really. It's just, it's a certain kind of art. And sometimes I really do like it. And sometimes kind of like, eh. All right, let's see what we got on the back here. I'm not going to read all of this. Number one, I got to say the print on the back is relatively small. So Flaming Heron points out, yeah, Chaosium are pretty good. Oh yeah, Chaosium's great. And they're always super nice to me. Keep in mind, this came out in 2018. This won an ENnie, or actually it may have been 2017. And it won an ENnie, I want to say for Best Adventure in 2018. And I simply asked, Michael O'Brien over at Chaosium, hey, I'd like to share some more reviews for some of their stuff. So I said, oh, okay, well, I'll send you Horror on the Orient Express and Reign of Terror and Does Love Forgive? And I was like, sweet, very cool. We might eventually get to take a look at the Berlin book, which I have also heard awesome things about as well. Okay, so once again, I'm just going to read a little bit here. The crowds gather, baying for blood, while the chop, chop, chop of the guillotine calls out. A time of struggle, intrigue, and horror. A divided country where the upper class enjoys the bounty of wealth and the poor cannot afford a loaf of bread. Where the cries of anger and rage at life's injustices find momentum, sparking the people to unite and cast away the old regime for a brighter and more hopeful tomorrow. In time, hope will be replaced with fear as the terror descends upon France and the guillotine calls out for blood. Reign of Terror is an epic two-part historical scenario set during the French Revolution and playable as a standalone mini-campaign or as a historical interlude for use with Chaosium's premium campaign, Horror on the Orient Express. Yes. And I believe that is one of the reasons why Michael O'Brien wanted to include this with the Horror on the Orient Express, because now I remember the original edition of Horror on the Orient Express, and it did have kind of that kind of almost like it's you can almost like run it as like it's a dream sequence for the players where they're actually running characters during the French Revolution. All right, so we've got our table of contents. We're going to jump on in for the introduction. We're not going to take a look at every single page. I will skip a few pages here and there. This is not a review, obviously enough. I have not looked at this. This is the first time I've taken a peek. So a vast majority of the time when I'm doing a first look at a role-playing game book or miniatures, rules, what have you, it really is a first look. I have not taken a peek at it. It is as new to you as it is to me. And maybe it's probably even newer to me. I'm sure folks, some folks out there watching know a whole lot more about this than I do. All right. So Keldon says, I've never played Call of Cthulhu, but the stuff they put out is super interesting. Call of Cthulhu is my role-playing game of choice. I have run it for over 40 years. So, or no, I guess maybe it's been since it came out. I always forget if it came out in 80 or 81, but I picked up the 1-inch, I guess I'll do this, the 1-inch deep box, that classic Chaosium box with it, and I've never looked back. All right, let's swing on through here. So we've got our keeper background. Of course, once again, this is not a review, but it is possible that you could encounter some spoilers here just by way of artwork or some of the titles of the various different sections. So just pointing that out, if you are an investigator and you're hoping your keeper is going to run Reign of Terror, you may want to just chime on out. So, all right. So Kevin says C of C. That's how we always referred to it. Never COC. It was always C of C. And we're talking like early 80s before, really you had the internet and stuff like that. So Kevin says CFC is very different and requires a different mindset to traditional things like 5e. Yes, most certainly does. I mean, let's be honest. The vast majority of role-playing games require a different mindset than 5th edition D&D and Pathfinder. So I'm not saying that's good. I'm not saying that's bad. It's just different. So both 5e and Pathfinder, it's like just a big focus on the characters, and it's very difficult to kill characters off. Not that, Game Master should be looking to do that, but the survivability of the characters is super, super high. Right. So Kevin says, as in, you can't kick in the door and kill the monsters. No, there's no Monty Hall going on in Call of Cthulhu. But then again, you don't need to run Call of Cthulhu where every character is going to get wiped out, that every time you play it's a TPK. I tend to kind of try to straddle that fine line of letting the players know that, hey, their characters could take a dirt nap at any point without coming across as like, oh, it's me versus the players. Because way back in the day, that's how Dungeons and Dragons was run by a vast number of people. It was, in fact, even Gary Gygax himself kind of ran the game where it was the dungeon master versus the players. So certainly not the approach that you should be taking. All right, so we're just flipping on through here. Ooh, get the Palace of Versailles. So the king is involved in this, or at least the palace is involved in this. I was just about to say, I wonder if like the main villain's name is like the Comte de something. I'm sure it's like the Comte appears, but I don't know if he's the major villain. I just figured somebody was going to be known as the Comte. An Evening of Horrors. Kevin Thorpe says, Pulp Cthulhu can be quite fun. I've always run my Call of Cthulhu. Well, of course, I wouldn't run this. Yes, I'm going to run a pulpy French Revolution. I always ran my Call of Cthulhu campaigns with a touch of pulp. There was, usually had some good running action, some good chase scenes. I didn't do, and I still don't, like powers like the Shadow would have, or Doc Savage, or anything like that. But always a little pulpier than real grim. Although, when it called for it, I can put together some pretty scary sessions. All right, so we're still in part one, which is 1789. So we have the Declaration of Man and the Rights of Citizens. So we have a map of the city of Paris. Pretty nice looking book. So then we have an interlude between the two parts. So Boris says, even if you do survive, you either end up in an asylum or prison. Well, that is sort of the Lovecraftian protagonist, their fate, a vast amount of time. So Disavowed 92 has joined us as well. So Kevin Smith says that their Horror on the Orient Express campaign didn't have any fatalities, but they only got to Paris, and they don't think they did the Reign of Terror flashback. Yeah, I seem to recall, and we'll see, because tomorrow we are looking at Horror on the Orient Express. I seem to recall it was a fairly short kind of flashback. So I kind of have the feeling, and I could be completely wrong, but I sort of have the feeling that this adventure here, ooh, there we go. We got a little bookmark. Yay. There we go. I sort of have the feeling that this adventure complements that flashback or that dream adventure in Horror on the Orient Express. I seem to recall there were 3 in different time periods. Now, it has been a long, long time since I probably have not read Horror on the Orient Express since maybe 2, 3 years after it originally came out. I never ran it. I'll be the first to admit, I never thought it was that great a campaign. I thought it really paled in comparison to Masks of Nyarlathotep. That's why I am actually very curious to see what the 2-volume set looks like. Because as far as I understand, presentation-wise, it's very similar to the new style that Chaosium has used for their Call of Cthulhu releases. And you got to say, I mean, it's night and day. Although I'll admit, the black and white traditional Chaosium look, I always thought was very, very well done. Very clean, very easy to navigate. It's just now the books have way more visual pizzazz, just like the foreign editions of Call of Cthulhu had. I remember back in the day, we would get to see glimpses of like the French edition of Call of Cthulhu, or especially, I think it was either Spanish or Portuguese. And it was just, they had all this gorgeous artwork, all full color. And it was kind of funny. You'd laugh and say, well, how come the actual company, Chaosium, everything's black and white and all line art, except for like covers. So, all right. So we got a timeline as well. Got some appendices. So we've got investigator occupations. Very cool. Cash and assets, prices for that time period. We have some scenario seeds. The Thing in the Bastille. Cold-blooded. The Bleeding Page. Nice. I'd say these are fairly detailed adventure plot seeds too. All right, so then we got our handouts as well. All right. And here are our pre-gens, I believe. There are. And they're all male. Which, I mean, historically, that would be pretty much what you would expect. Cool. One thing I always notice is Chaosium doesn't, I don't want to use the term woke because that's not, some people are going to take it the wrong way. I'm not trying to say that the people at Chaosium are not woke. But what I like is that they don't completely whitewash history, which we're seeing a lot of in a lot of games, where it's sort of like, oh my gosh, God forbid if there be something that you might find challenges you. So I like the fact that Chaosium doesn't go out of their way to please the smallest, tiniest minority of gamers out there with a bunch of nonsense where it's just not historical. Now that doesn't mean that you've got to have a completely historical role-playing game. Of course not. We're talking about this is a cosmic horror, Lovecraftian horror game. So of course it doesn't need to be, completely historical. But yeah, sometimes it's like, so that looks pretty good. Of course, I will have a review of Reign of Terror in the very near future as well. All right. Wow. That was a quick show tonight. We just kind of zipped right on through. On Thursday's show, I might also include another role-playing game first look because I've got kind of a short digest size. It's not Call of Cthulhu, but I think I might do that because we're going to take a look at Does Love Forgive? And that's pretty short. So what's coming up on the shows this week as Viper Dave has popped in to hang out. That means I got to wrap up. Time to wrap up. Viper Dave's here. Time to call it a night. All right. Anyway, as I mentioned, tomorrow we are going to be taking a look at both volumes of Horror on the Orient Express for Call of Cthulhu, once again, from Chaosium Inc., and about 1,100 pages. So, as I had mentioned earlier, we're probably going to go relatively short with the news. I'm going to share what's coming in July for Pathfinder and Starfinder, maybe a couple of other news pieces, and then we're going to dive on into Horror on the Orient Express. I am really looking forward to checking that out because I haven't seen Horror on the Orient Express since the original boxed edition came out. So I know things have changed, and it is supposed to have kind of that updated layout that we're used to, although it is not for, I think, if I remember correctly, this is not updated for 7th edition Call of Cthulhu. It is still 6th edition. Although the reality is it's super easy to port from edition to edition. The changes aren't that massive. And I got to be honest, one of the aspects of 7th edition Call of Cthulhu I don't actually use is the chase rules. So Flaming Heron says, plenty to watch tomorrow. Get strapped in for it. Talking to Keldon. So anyway, so Keldon says, what? I just got here, or did I? Hey, Nicholas Stanishek has joined us. Dang, the video keeps lagging for me. I'm going to have to come back and watch the recorded version instead. Let me take a look. Not my end. It is not coming on my end. We are looking at 0 drop frames. It's got to be a YouTube thing. So here's something I had noticed. Now, I don't know if anybody else has experienced this lately, but I have noticed that on some channels that the videos tend to sit there and you're like waiting for them, and you'll get the little message that pops up and it says experiencing interruptions. But then on other channels, I don't get anything like that. But there are some particular channels that I'll take a peek at, and I always just get that jumping up, experiencing. And I'm like, I don't get it. It's the same YouTube, right? Although, of course, I would assume that some of the more popular channels are located on different servers than other channels as well. All right. Anyway, so tomorrow we are going to look at Horror on the Orient Express. No show on Wednesday because it's my brother's birthday. And I thought I saw, I think it was Flaming Heron wished my brother a happy birthday. I don't know. Somebody did. Yeah. Whatever. It's my brother. Who cares? I'm a kidding. Anyway, no show on Thursday, or on Wednesday, I should say. Then on Thursday, we are going to take a look at Does Love Forgive? Also for Call of Cthulhu from Chaosium Inc. And it is 2 adventures that are designed to be for 1 player, 1 keeper. So kind of a one-on-one kind of situation there. So that should be pretty interesting. So it's from Chaosium and I believe Black Monk. So this is not necessarily a third-party release, but it is not necessarily in-house. So there is that. Anyway, I got a few minutes. Anything cooking in chat? Anything going on? I saw Rick Barber passed away. If you are a war gamer, you might recognize his name. He did some artwork for some, especially American Civil War games. He had done some artwork on them. I heard I guess he passed away last week from a heart attack. That's too bad. I did not know him, but I had heard his name, and I'm trying to think. Trying to think if he did the maps for Herman Lettman's Terrible Swift Sword series. Trying to remember. I don't know. Because that was the first thing I thought of when I saw that he had passed away. I was like, I could have swore he did I think he did the maps for, like I said, I might be completely wrong. But I thought it did the maps for the big Gettysburg game that they were just kickstarting. I think they just wrapped up the Kickstarter for Flying Pig Games, but he had done the one smaller. What is it? The Devil's to Pay, which is about the first day of Gettysburg. Good game, very solid game. It's a Herman Lettman design. Come on, it's going to be good. So my condolences to Mr. Barber's family and friends out there. Always hate to hear when somebody has passed away. Anyway, other than that, looks like looks like everybody else in chat saying that they had no lag on their end. So it might be an issue with Nicholas's interwebs. Don't know. All right. So I guess that's it for tonight's show. Pretty fast show tonight. Zipping on through. Do want to remind you, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. If you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube. Also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my first look at Dungeons & Dragons, Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, as well as tonight's, yes, you heard that correct, tonight's review of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Death on the Reich from Cubicle 7 Entertainment. And I did my best to try to keep this spoiler-free. So, Grumbling Grognard has popped in. I believe this is the first time that Double G has joined us, mentioning that Rick's game was a most fearful sacrifice, I believe. Because I think Rick Barber had a game that he had done, but I think most people knew him from artwork from other games as well. Flaming Heron says, well, good news for me getting back into some physical gaming, not soon, but in the next month. So yay! Very cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting some more gaming in as well. Although we've been doing all right family-wise. But got to get more gaming done with my best friend, Elliot Miller. So, because that's how I get the war games and things like that reviewed. Anyway, so by all means, check out my review of Death on the Reich. It'll be up a little later on tonight, probably about a half hour. It'll be live. And I'll also tell you how you can win one of 2 copies of Death on the Reich in PDF. And of course, like all my contests, it'll be super easy to win. All right, those of you who tuned in live, thank you very much for keeping me company. I always appreciate you taking some time out of your busy lives to hang out with me while I just kind of pontificate endlessly. Well, not endlessly, because the show does end. And of course, if you're not watching live, thank you very much as well for stopping by to hang out, regardless if you watch on YouTube, Memorex, whatever. Much appreciated. All right. Anyway, I will be back tomorrow. Once again, shorter news, bigger release. So, by all means, I hope you'll join me then. And everybody enjoy the rest of your Monday night, Tuesday morning, whatever day it happens to be that you're watching this. And as I wrap up all of my videos during this never-ending pandemic, I certainly hope each and every one of you out there is being smart and staying safe. oh, hey, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, if you haven't subscribed to the Gaming Gang channel yet, click right here. If you'd like to see the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, click right up there. And if you want to trust YouTube's algorithm to give you something to watch, click right there. Once again, thanks so much for watching, and everybody please wear a mask.